Hello and welcome to Sharing the Light. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. In this episode of Sharing the Light, it will be the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins, who is the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral, joined by Reverend Cindy Lippert and Candace Gee. And this discussion today, they will be focusing on the topic of omnipresence. So let's join them for this exciting and wonderful topic now on omnipresence.
Well, I'm so glad to have a special guest today. Of course, Reverend Cindy Lippert is from Arizona. She's a divine science minister. She has been the minister of Unity, a Unity Church, and a divine science church, and a study group. She's been the president of the International New Thought Alliance. She's the co-host of a radio show called Spirituality Today. She's a rock star. And then Candace Gee. I always say Gee. Make it be Gee. That's her name from now on. Candace Gee is a practitioner and a ministerial student at Agape International in Culver City, California, which is Michael Beckwith's church. Big, huge, well-known church in California. So we're so happy to have our little panel today. And we'll be talking about omnipresence. And this is what I want you guys to sort of chime in on. Everybody, or at least people who identify as Christian. I don't know what Muslims believe about Allah, but most Christians would say God is omnipresent. That whatever God is omnipresent. God, in fact, I remember hearing even in very conservative Sunday school growing up, God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent, God is omniscient. And yet, while we're saying God is everywhere, omnipresent, we act as if, and we pray as if God is out there somewhere. Or specifically up there, as if we had a flat earth and God is in the attic. And and so we acted as if we 100% believed in separation while saying God is everywhere. And yet we want to save people. But how could you ever be lost from an omnipresence? we want to rescue people from what? If there's one presence and it's everywhere present. So that's what I want to talk about is, when we say omnipresence, do we believe that God is omnipresent? And if so, how should that change our discussion of theology? Or if we believe people can be separated from God and need to be rescued, should we stop lying and say we believe in omnipresent? We've created a sort of a dichotomy that I think has gotten in our way, and we need to be clear about what we really, really believe about the divine presence, whatever that is. So, say words.
I don't think we spend enough time actually examining what it feels like. We examine, we say things, they're in our mind, but we don't take the time to really ask ourselves, how does that feel? If it is omnipresence, what does that feel like? What does that mean? How does that work in me? If it's not out there and it's in me, how does it work in me?
Right.
It works on a moment-by-moment basis of my recognition and my awareness of that.
Wow. And Candace and I have both said omnipresence. Not God is omnipresent, not omnipresent deity, but omnipresence. Why do you think we do that? Why do we talk about presence instead of a present thing? What do you think that is?
Well, because omnipresent brings up everywhere present, like Santa Claus on every corner, right. So it's like he's everywhere, like Chicken Man. But exactly. So omnipresence then is so freeing, because omnipresence means to me everywhere present, at the subatomic to beyond the multiverse, that there is no spot where God is not. But more than that, God is in and throughout everything, seen and unseen, and the places in between, and the stuff we haven't even figured out yet. Mm-hmm. So then, therefore, if God is omnipresence, that means God is resident in every cell fiber of our being. Mm-hmm. And therefore, then, what does that imply? That is the foundation for how we see God differently as new thoughters than perhaps the other paradigm, the old man in the cloud trying to decide if you're naughty or nice and ruling the universe by whim. and trying to figure out, is God in a good mood today or a bad mood? You know, am I appealing to a God that will look kindly on me today? Whereas omnipresence, I've got a fair break all the time. That's how I see it.
So let's assume God is good. Maybe we don't make that assumption, and so we can go down that path next. But assuming God is good, that this omnipresence is goodness itself, or at least value neutral potential that can always be used for good. If God is everywhere present and is good, or it can always be applied in good ways, and I'm having a difficult time, I'm feeling very lonely, I'm feeling very depressed, I can't make ends meet, the medicines for whatever aren't working, or whatever it is, the relationship is on the rocks, whatever it is, and I sort of instinctively want to cry out for prayer. I want to cry out to something for help, for guidance, for wisdom, for comfort, for strength. And I do cry out. Is there something right where I am to receive that? And not only does it receive it, like if I yell into a pillow, does it respond? Does the presence receive my calling out? Even if it's silent, just an utterance of the heart. Does it receive it? And if so, does it respond?
I think it absolutely does. I think that we have the faculty of choice. So we, the saying, we look up to the hills from whence our help cometh. We look up to the hills in our consciousness from which our help cometh, and that's where the presence of omnipresence resides as me. I mean, it's everywhere. It's what you are. And if you say you have command presence, you don't say you have command past or future, or you have presence. The presence is what, so yes, I think that it hears and responds according to us.
According to our awareness, our consciousness, our acceptance.
Yes, our belief and faith in it,
Mm-hmm.
our knowing of it, our experience of it.
We'll talk about it a little bit, and because I 100% want to get a raise at work, or get work. Maybe I don't even have work. I 100% want this situation to get better, or I 100% want to lose weight or gain weight or find the love of my life or just find somebody for tonight. I mean, I 100% want a thing, right? I 100% want something, and yet I seem to be repelling it because it's not happening. So I say I want it, and there's this thing that's receiving it, it's receiving my desires and responding, and yet things aren't working out. What's that about?
Well, I don't believe, and this is probably, I'll just say it. I don't believe God's good, okay? Mm-hmm. I believe that power is neutral.
Right.
And the same God that I say, I want to make this choice, I think God says, okay, you can experience hell, I'll go with you. Or, I want this, okay, this will be in your best interest, I'll go that way for you. So that's where our consciousness comes in, and it's what we can believe for ourselves. And I think that presence shows up in whatever that, but I don't really believe that God has any desires for us.
But this person watching, struggling, let's pick sobriety.
Okay.
I want to be sober. And I mean, I'm just tired of this thing having control over me. I'm tired of waking up feeling bad. I'm tired of missing work and ruining relationships. I'm ready to get sober. And I almost no sooner say that than I pop open a beer. Why do I want a thing, but clearly I'm operating on a different path? What's happening?
Absolutely. The thing is that, and God bless those who are struggling with sobriety, and God bless those who are...
Or weight. I mean, it could be the same thing. It could be, I would seriously want to lose weight,
Absolutely.
and I open up a Twinkie, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
What is that about?
It's all the same thing. Well, we are free to make our own choices. Yeah. They can be bad choices, they can be good choices, but here's the good news. When we are praying, we are trying to remind ourselves that we can have it our way. We can be sober. That is possible for us because we are empowered to do the right thing just as we're empowered to do the wrong thing. We're at choice always.
This everywhere, evenly, perfectly, fully present power then is in me.
Yes.
It's as me.
As you.
It must be.
Yes.
I must be an expression of it because no two things can be in the same place at the same time.
Correct.
So if it's here,
Right.
it has to be here.
Correct.
That's why I can say God in me, God in you, and it's the same presence.
That's right.
Even though
Yeah.
I'm seeing the God in you, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a separate God.
No.
It's this one
She's
presence.
got it, I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I want it.
So if there's this presence everywhere, and it is power, it is all power, and it's all presence, and it's all wisdom, and it's all knowledge,
Yeah.
then I can always tap into it.
Absolutely.
And if I've spent 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years feeling separate from it,
Yes.
I might need a journey before I
Yes.
really understand and accept
Yes.
that I can trust it.
Absolutely.
That I can make a demand on it and things will change.
Right.
Because I really, in my head, still kind of believe it's over there.
Yeah.
And it could get mad at me. And
Correct.
Even though it could happen in the twinkling of an eye 40 years ago, if I had allowed it.
Oh,
But
certainly.
we didn't. We
Yes.
have to go through our process of developing our own faith and trust in it.
Exactly.
But
Right.
literally, that's what I love about this. In the twinkling of an eye, in a nanosecond, you can have a complete and utter shift and change.
Yeah.
And it can be permanent and lasting.
I like to think of mammals can swim. If you throw a baby in the water, it can swim. Animals know how to swim, but we don't know we know how to swim.
That's it.
And we have to learn. And if we're scared of water, we're resistant of it, and we learn slower, maybe not at all. But we can swim,
Yes.
and the water's there to swim in.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. We've had a lot of negative programming. Some of us, I did, and it wasn't anybody's fault. They did the best that they could with the consciousness that they had to raise me. But the thing is, it didn't translate very well in adulthood for me. It wasn't working for me, so to speak. So I had to get rid of the devil. And people that were raised with the devil understand how hard that is. It's like, well, there is no devil. When I got into New Thought, well, there is no devil. Okay, so what do I do with that word? Enemy, all of that. What is that? Finally, somebody was able to help me with that. Just translate the word devil for fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. They both can't reside together. So when I was told, you are loved absolutely by God just because you exist, and I said, but you don't know who I am. You don't know what I've done in my life. And my mentor said, it doesn't matter, because in every moment you get a do-over. In every minute you're at choice, and your only thing you need to do is give and receive love. That was the beginning of my journey. That, to me, was true salvation.
There's not a spot where God is not. That's where we begin. We have to do some work on top of that to get some results, but it all begins with there's not a spot where God is not. Omnipresence. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Sharing the Light.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode of Sharing the Light. Tell your friends about this online ministry, and when you're in Southeast Florida, make sure you worship with us on a Sunday at the 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. service. And now for a final word from our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins.
Email me at Durrell@sunshinecathedral.net if you have a religious question or if you'd like to subscribe to our daily devotional magazine, Spirit and Truth. We'll send it anywhere in the United States for an annual donation of any size. You can also email us prayer requests, or you can make donations on our website, www.sunshinecathedral.org. You'll also want to check out our great performing arts series, religious education classes, conferences, and other exciting activities. For now, we wish you many blessings on your spiritual journey.